Hi everybody, we're here to do your review for the pre-Civil War and compromises test that you will have on Friday. So get out your study guide and remember that there is a back side to it. I am going to show these maps on the video, but I'm not going to go through all of the details for them. I will, however, answer this last question that is here on the bottom on the back, and that'll be the last slide that has a question on it. So let's get started. What four things describe life in the South during this time? The four things I want you to remember are: 1, farming and plantations were a large part of life, and that these people did not support the tariffs. 2, people lived in a rural agricultural society, which remember means farms and country. 3, Southerners believed that states should have the power in government. And 4, slavery was necessary for the economy. That was the belief in the South. What four things describe life in the North during this time? Well, manufacturing and factories were important to life, and because of that, they supported the tariffs that they thought protected them. Number 2 would be people lived in urban areas or cities. They believed that the national government should have the power and the Union was to stay together. And then slavery was inhumane and immoral, and that was how they felt about the slavery issue, or most of them did. Now the next question says, what two states were the main focus of the Missouri Compromise? And on your map here, this is the same map that you have on the back with I added some lines on it. So you need to note where Missouri is. You're going to need to know where the state of Missouri is for your test. And Maine was the other state that was added. And notice also the Missouri Compromise line. Now, Missouri was a slave state, and Maine was admitted as a free state, which brings us to the next question. Why were these two states added at the same time? And the answer to that is so that the votes in Congress would stay equal for the free and slave states. Because remember, everyone in Congress that had a state had 2 representatives, and they didn't want the slave states or the free states to have more of a voice in our government. The next question is, which compromise said that California would be added as a free state and New Mexico Territory would choose for themselves? And that would be the Compromise of 1850, and that map is here, and you see arrows pointing to California and to the New Mexico Territory. What does popular sovereignty mean? Popular sovereignty means allowing the states the right to vote about a decision, and in this case they were specifically voting about slavery, whether or not to make their state a free or a slave state. Which cash crop in the South was most affected by tariffs? The answer to that is cotton. Most of our huge plantations were growing cotton at this time, and they were the ones that were the most concerned and the most affected by the tariffs. Why did people in the North support tariffs on trade? The tariffs protected the factories from foreign countries, and here's our how tariff works diagram. And remember that if it's coming from another country into our country, we are putting a tariff on it so that people will buy the things that are made in our country. And the Northerners liked that because they were manufacturing things. As a part of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, how was the slavery issue solved in the new areas? Well, the answer to that one is our vocabulary word, popular sovereignty. They were being allowed to vote as to whether or not they wanted to be a slave or free state. What was the South afraid of if slavery was abolished or done away with? They were afraid that their economy would collapse, that their plantations wouldn't be able to run. If they didn't have slaves, who was going to do the work, was what they thought. What was the nickname given to Kansas after violence broke out because of the Kansas-Nebraska Act? The answer to that one is Bleeding Kansas. And that was because of all that violence. Who was the person who led raids on pro-slavery people in Kansas, killing at least 5 men? That would be John Brown. And there's a picture of him. I did not show you a picture of him earlier. Why were the anti-slavery people upset about Kansas having popular sovereignty? And remember, this is the question that's on the back of your worksheet. The answer to that is because it violated the previous law about the Missouri Compromise line. Remember, the Missouri Compromise line said that if you were going to be north of that line, you were automatically free. If you were south of that line, you were automatically a slave state. And so they kind of went back on that law, and it was very upsetting for the people who were against slavery, because the new territories that we see being given popular sovereignty are north of that line. Now, that's it in a nutshell. Not a whole lot. I hope that you will look over these maps. Don't forget to do the coloring on the maps. The directions are on the back, and look over this information a couple times. Your test is going to be Friday, and we're going to do a whole class review in class tomorrow. So hopefully you will know all this information and show me how smart you are when you come to class tomorrow. And in the meantime, look over all that stuff, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.